What's up guys, it's me Charlie, and today I'm here to share with you tips on winning future leagues. Now this is the third time I'm winning the league, so I believe I'm qualified enough to talk about it. The first one, even if you don't believe, I did get there mainly through without using the win trading in Conquest Proving Grounds. I won Jeff Leagues, the last Jeff League. Currently, the league that I'm in number 1. I have about a 10,000 points gap. We are only 26 minutes away. I do believe I have it in the bag. Now let me begin by talking about the most important thing about league. Alright, it is a psychological warfare. I would say the first 18 hours, the first 12 to 18 hours, or rather the first 15 to 18 hours is actually the most crucial. That's when you want to gain as much points as possible. Okay, because it's very disheartening when you see that oh my god, I'm 10,000 points, I'm 6,000 points away from number 1. It's very disheartening. So you don't feel the urge, you don't feel the motivation to actually push for those points, even though actually those points are very manageable. Alright, so that's the psychological aspect. That's the problem if you do not have a strong start, which is why I mentioned the first 15 to 18 hours are actually very important. You want to be playing a lot. If possible, once it starts, get into it and start playing a lot. Alright, it's not easy, and I know time zone is very difficult for myself. Every day when it resets at 3 AM in my time zone, so it's very difficult for me as well. But if you really want that premium mystery variant, if you want that 3 bottles, you really have to put in the effort too. Alright, so first thing, the most important thing that everyone needs to know, that it's a psychological battle. You really need to have a strong start, keep pace, and have a strong finish. Alright, and let's take a look at what is happening right now. Obviously, I mean I can do a stream, but it will be very boring. But it has been these standings and points have been more or less the same for like the last 3 hours, 5 hours. Alright, and the reason is because they are saying, oh, this guy has 23,000, there's no way I can catch up anymore, so they're not going to try to catch up anymore. So any fluctuations will just be very minor here, and it will not threaten my number 1 position. It will not threaten my premium mystery variant, my 3 bottles. So this is what I meant by psychological warfare. You want to have a strong start, you want to keep piling up the pressure early, so that other players are disheartened, other players do not want to try to overtake you for your number 1. Now having said that, obviously winning league is not a skill. It does take a certain amount of skills. Being better skilled obviously makes it easier, but the most important thing to winning league is to put in the time to actually grind your matches out, grind your wins out. Okay, and when we talk about grinding, I would say that there's 2 aspects to this: active grinding and passive grinding. What do I mean by that? Active grinding means, alright, your usual hours of playing Snap, alright, and you're just going to, let's say you play, for example, if you play 2 hours a day, active grinding is your 2 hours, that same 2 hours. Alright, and during active grinding, what you're going to do is you're going to play your best decks. Alright, the decks that you're going to play as if you are climbing up the ladder, as if you're trying to get to infinite, as if you're trying to move up the ladder. That's it. It's very straightforward. No 2 ways about it. Alright, you pick your strongest deck, you pick your second strongest deck, and you stick to these 2 decks, and you keep climbing. That's the active grinding portion. Now, but that alone is not sufficient, because if everybody does the same, and if we are all grouped into a league based on activity, alright, everybody's going to do the same, and nobody's going to come out on top. So how are you going to come out on top? Well, that brings me to my second part, which is passive grinding. Now, what do I mean by passive grinding? Obviously, to emerge first, second, or third, you need to put in a little bit more effort. Alright, you need to put in a little bit more time. However, this time is precious, time is limited. Everybody only has 24 hours. So sometimes you have to be pulling out time that otherwise you do not spend on playing Snap. For example, maybe when you're walking home, when you're walking from point A to point B, alright, you play some Snap. You're waiting for a friend, you play some Snap. You're in the cab, you play some Snap. You're having a meal, you play some Snap. Basically, these are times where you play Snap but you're not fully focused on playing Snap. So what kind of decks, what kind of strategies should you do, should you adopt when you are in such a situation? Well, I would recommend you to take up easy to play decks. Alright, decks like Patroid, decks like Cerebro 5, decks like Zoo. Very straightforward decks, alright, that don't have complicated play lines, alright, not like Bounce for example, not combo decks. Okay, just play, or you can even play very simple combo decks like Sauron Big, whereby you Shuri your Red Skull, you Shuri your Vision. Alright, decks that have very clear snap conditions, whereby you miss it, you know, you if you have it, you snap. If you don't snap. And if you know that you are not putting up sufficient power, you know that you don't have your cards, or you don't have your play lines, you retreat. As simple as that. No mid-range decks. This is what I call this is what I meant by passive grinding. Alright, you play easy to play decks, and you play snap when you otherwise wouldn't be. Alright, so basically you enter a mode of multitasking. Alright, so your daily life is not that affected, you still get to get some additional snap time in. Alright, this is what I meant by passive grinding. This is actually very critical. I would say my 23,000 points, I think around 7,000 points come from that. Okay, 7,000, 8,000 points come from that. And if I were to remove that away from my points total, that brings me to around 15,000 ish, which is very close to second place, and that might motivate them to, you know, push hard, and I might lose my first place. Alright, so this passive grinding is very important, if you were to ask me. Alright, so now that I've shared this key strategy, let me do a quick wrap up. The first thing is you need to have a strong start. You need to stay on top. Alright, if you really want to win, number one, you really need to stay on top. Make them lose faith, make them give up. Alright, second thing is you need to, when you're playing Snap and you're very focused on playing Snap, you need to be very focused. You need to pick your best 2 decks, alright, and grind those wins. Right. Third thing, you need to incorporate additional play time, passive grinding. Alright, you do not need to be 100% focused. Alright, you just need to have have hands to play a little bit of Snap, and you pick simple to play decks, Patroid decks, Zoo decks, Cerebro 5 decks. Alright, and you passively grind out additional points. So having said all that, in conclusion, why do I start at 23,000? Typically, I've noticed that most leagues, number one, they stand at around 20,000. Alright, so I would say that 23,000 is a very nice buffer. Okay, 23,000 should be able to win most leagues. I've seen some that's crazy, that is 30,000. Alright, I think I've even seen one screenshot that is 40,000. That's just pure insanity. Alright, but 23,000 mark should clear most leagues. Alright, of course there are some that's a little bit less active, they have around 10,000 ish. Alright, so those leagues are great as well. Okay, I believe my league this time round is not that active also. I mean, 15,000 could get you the win, could get you number one. Alright, and yeah, so it really depends on the leagues that you are in. If you were to be able to jump onto a big lead early, I did, you might be able to make them give up, you know, and they decide, okay, that's it, you know, I'm not going to push that hard. So that's where the points will settle. Right, so basically this is my tips, my strategy to winning leagues. If you want to win the next league, you might want to consider taking this approach. Alright, and so I will update you guys about the premium mystery variant that I'll be getting. I hope it's a good one. Enjoy, happy snapping.